What's up, folks? Episode 75 of Monday Musings is here. Hey, Lucas. You come here, buddy? Oh, good boy. He just came in. He was outside doing who knows what. He finally decided he wanted to come back in. I was coming back into the office and he's like, "Can I please come in, Daddy?" And I said, "Of course you can." That's why I have the sheet on the bed. It's for him. Good boy. Not just for him, for the other kittens. If you were watching the live stream this morning, this is very hard to clean. This thing down here because it's woven and it's tapestry type material, and so Smeagol and Pippin ran in and they were muddy because of outside, and they jumped up on here, and I didn't have the sheet prepped for the cats, and they jumped on here and got mud all over this, and I was like, no. So we had to do an emergency during the live stream, and like this sheet was underneath here. We usually keep two sheets on top. I don't know. We just Chris likes lots of sheets, so I let her do what she's gonna do. Um. Anyway, welcome to episode 75 of Monday Musings, where I talk about life and stuff. I had previously recorded this episode, and then I was like, I'm talking about the same stuff I talked about last week without knowing that I talked about the same stuff about last week. So I was like, I just need to redo it and remind myself of. I need show notes because I just like to talk and I repeat myself a lot. So let's rehash some of the things from last week. The Falcon is still around. He hasn't gone away. Um, as a result, the kittens cannot go outside unattended, which means we still haven't been able to get to the city to buy lumber for all of our projects because we can't leave the cats unattended, and we haven't been able to schedule anything with her niece yet for her niece to come out and stay the night so that we can get up the next morning at like 5 o'clock, get on the bus, go to the city, and come back. And that has to be coordinated, and it hasn't happened yet. So as soon as I know when we're going to the city, I'll let everybody know. But that hasn't happened yet, and that stupid falcon is still going around. And now the neighbor lady's complaining about our next door neighbor's complaining about it because she's got baby ducks and baby chickens now between last week and this week. So she's got 5 ducks and like 6 chickens, and they're the little handfuls right now. And that hawk now is not only he's in our backyard, he's in the house. He's in our backyard on the tree overlooking our backyard. He's in the tree in front of her house, the tree in front of her house, and the church property. And he just circles and he has 4 posts that he goes to and he just watches. I don't know if you guys, so for those of you who've been watching my live streams the other morning, or it was late morning, I was streaming 2 or 3 days ago now, and Chris ran in here and was like, Tim, come help. And I had to drop everything I was doing. I had to run away from the live stream in an emergency, go outside, and we had to get all the kittens in really quick because the stupid falcon was back in the tree. This is the third time I've had to throw rocks at him. And it was funny as hell because he was back there as I'm shooing all the kittens inside, and he was doing this. Like he was just trying to figure out how am I going to get down there and eat me a little kitty cat before they get them all inside. And it was like, dude, getting tired of your shiznizzle. Like he doesn't bother them because they're big. They're as big as he is. But those kittens, those are a tasty little morsel. And he's also eyeballing the chickens. Um, baby chickens and baby ducks. You okay, Luke? Yeah, meow meow. Jujuku boy, yes you are. Rah, 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 rah. Did I interrupt your cleaning? I'm sorry. You're so cute though. You're so cute. You're so precious. You're a good boy. Yes, get your scent glands all over my finger. Yeah. Go back to cleaning, buddy. I'll leave you alone. Yeah, you're a good boy. Yes, you are. Um, homesteading stuff. Let's talk more homesteading stuff. So, this past week, in between last episode and this week's episode, we finally launched the trailer on our other YouTube channel. If you haven't checked that out, there's a crafts and gardens and pets section in our Discord where we put the trailer, where Chris and I are like talking about homesteading in Mexico, which means we're finally going to start showing people the chaos of this place. There's a lot to talk about. But we also have some new people who have come into the fold who have like what's it, apiary? They do bees, and other people doing like Crinkle is doing craft beers, and Sparrow and Lance have gardens, and Joe has a garden. People are doing lots of cool stuff in our gardens and crafts and pets section. So I'm really you know, it's really interesting to see more and more people becoming interested in having their own garden and everything else. And not everyone can have animals because of city restrictions and everything else. But do what you can. I mean, and I'm happy to see that the pandemic has brought that out and brought a lot of people out of their bubble and made them realize that holy shit, costs are going up and it's crazy, and I could reduce my costs and have healthier food if I just did my own, and balcony gardens and backyard gardens and window gardens, just whatever space you've got, make stuff happen. It's good stuff. So we launched the trailer, and moving forward, there's going to be one video a week is the planned schedule for the homesteading content. Now we don't have a. It's not a lot of people have different opinions of what a homestead is. If you Google homestead, you'll find lots of different things. Ours is not a luxury homestead. You'll see some of these, like Chris was watching videos with me last night, and she was just laughing because some of these homestead projects on YouTube where they've got, 5 million followers or whatever, and it's literally this pristine property on the edge of a lake with beautiful forests all around, and it's like snow and all this other stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's a $3 million piece of property. Like, that's not a home, like, that's not really homesteading. You're a rich person from the city who bought it's your little hobby project, and it's beautiful, but it's not, homesteading is more, for most people, homesteading is more about creating a sustainable environment or sustainable food source or something of that nature. And living off the land to some degree, not being, I mean, to some people it means off grid. It doesn't necessarily mean off grid. I'm not off grid. Definitely not off grid. I've got city power, city water, city electric, city everything. I have internet. I have high speed cable internet. I have most days when the internet's working, I have a 200 down, 16 up, which allows me to stream, and that's all I care about. It allows me to work online. It's not fiber optic like I had in the city. I do miss my fiber optic, but it is what it is. Most days it works. Knock on wood. Sometimes we have issues. But being out in the countryside, like I've just had to learn to live with a few things. Like anytime there's a storm, power goes out. Sometimes I lose internet. These are just the life pros and cons. Pros and cons of living in the boonies. Um. Anyway, more stuff coming at the Old Margin Boundaries YouTube channel. So if you haven't checked that out already, to the Discord. Put our trailer up, one video a week. Chris and I started going through all the video footage because I uploaded everything to YouTube last weekend, and we went through like the first video that we recorded 5 days after we moved in. Well, the first documented video. I sent a bunch of videos to my brother, but those are private videos that I won't ever share with anybody. But I did the first big, it's a 12-minute video that I recorded of the whole interior of the house. Now, I don't show the exterior very much, but we do show the whole interior. Um, Probably what I'm going to do at some point. Um, I don't mind showing some parts of the exterior, but I do want to be somewhat careful because I don't want people to know where I live. Um, because there are crazy people on the internet who want to do me harm. It's not me being a conspiracy theorist. If you've been around my channels and my communities, I've got spammers who try to come and spam our Discord. I've got spammers who come to YouTube and do. There are crazy people on the internet who wish me ill will, and so I don't need that. I don't need people swatting my house. I don't, not that they could do that because where I live that's not a thing, but I don't need crazy people knowing where I live. So I have to be careful of what I do put on the internet. As much as I want to create cool content and show things, you know, people are internet sleuths are crazy, man, with what they can figure out just by seeing an outdoor photo or something. Like it's like the star chart for where you live and based on the constellations, and you're located here. And it's like I don't need that. I don't need that kind of smoke in my life, right? So, exterior wise, we'll show some stuff, but I have to be careful of like showing what's around us and all that stuff because I don't need the crazies out there to be able to find out where I live. um, But it'll be a fun documentation progress because we have been recording footage now for 4 months and recorded a lot more in the beginning than we have the last 2 months because the first 2 months we were doing a lot of stuff, and then the last 2 months we've sort of been in a routine, which is full-time streaming. We have a routine now, and the kittens got born, and ever since the kittens got born, it's pretty much been a routine of that. Lots of cats that we don't need and can't afford, and we have 2 litter boxes now, and because that stupid hawk that stupid falcon, so they can't go outside like they need to be doing. And yes, the GoFundMe is still coming in August. I just haven't had time to do it, but that's still coming. And I think I've got the costs ironed out, so we'll get that up at some point. But it's going to be for the 5 cats to get spayed and neutered, which will happen around the end of October. They'll be old enough by the end of October to get that done, and all their vaccinations, and also the cost of the materials to build that shelter and the tools to build that shelter. It's not going to be just a shelter; it's going to be a shelter slash outdoor play area for the cats. I want to do something nice. It'll probably be like 3 grand on the high end, like $2,000 to $3,000. Just depending on how crazy I go with the cat shelter. So anyway, I digress. That's homesteading. Lots of cool stuff coming. We've been recording video footage for a long time, and we're gonna be doing all sorts of stuff. I finally got Chris to sign off on talking about how much we spent on this place. And the reason was I was showing her all these other YouTube videos the other night, and she was, like, here's this person talking about how they built this tiny cabin for this much, and this person talks about how they bought this property for this much, and this person talked about how they built this for this. People want to know. There is a group of people who want to be able to know, how do I do this for the cheapest amount of money possible. There are people who want to know about what are the budget options out there, and ours is definitely a budget option. Like, but it's not pretty. Like I keep telling people, like this kind of stuff like has got to be fixed long term, So you have to be willing to, if you're going to do it on a budget, then you have to be willing to deal with the downside of doing stuff on the budget is that like you have painted concrete floors, which have, oh, you're not gonna be able to see it unless I move. Like the pits. Do you see those pits? Like that's because the paint's coming off and that needs to be repainted and you know rewiring and doing all the things that need to be done, um, if you're going to remodel and renovate, which is why we're calling it a homesteading project, because it's about the garden in the backyard and dealing with the lizards and how to get that to happen. And we're just basically going to have to build an enclosed garden with chicken wire and stuff, um, and building the chicken coop and the cat shelters and dealing with the hawks and the crazy neighbor later who, oh man, this is a fun story. We're not a part of this battle. We're caught in the crossfire because we live in between the two properties. So at the back end of our property is a forest, a woods area. It's an abandoned property. Next to that is a lady who raises pigs. On the other side of that is nothing because it's just abandoned lots. And then next to us, because our house is, it's hard to explain this. If our house is this way, right? Because of where we're situated, the first like all the way up to the back edge of our house is one house over here. But then starting with our backyard, we have houses that go in a different direction and they go opposite to ours. So out the backyard along if this was our backyard over here that goes along, we're a long rectangle is what we have. This is our house. Imagine two of these, and this is the rest of our property is out back. And on one side is the church, and on the other side are buildings. One building follows the size of our house. And then beyond that, into the backyard, we have one, two, three other properties, and then the woods. Well, one of the ladies who lives, our direct neighbor, we get along with them. They're nice people. Um, Back there, she has the chickens. She has the baby chickens and ducks that the falcon is after. She also sells clothing out of her home, and her husband has a little stall where he sells hamburgers and stuff up in the abandoned property, and he has an agreement with the owners that if he cleans the property, he can use that front area to sell his stuff in without having to pay rent. Um, anyway, the lady with the pigs burns trash every day of the week, and it's annoying. But that's part of living in an area where there's no rules. The pros and cons here, ladies and gentlemen. There's no city ordinance that says that she's not supposed to, but no one's gonna crack down on it because it's a small town. Um, well, she burns trash. Well, it's not just she doesn't just burn burnable stuff. She burns things that you're not supposed to burn. She burns plastic and cans of paint, and there's been multiple explosions on her burn pit. And the smoke is horrific when she burns plastic because it stinks and it's not good for you. But she does it. because she's too cheap to buy bags to take the trash out and give it to the trash people, so she just burns her trash every day. Well, it's gotten bad recently, and that smoke is blowing into. So we're blessed in the sense that we have air conditioning in here. So when it starts getting really hot and the smoke starts coming through, we can just shut the windows and come in here, and the smoke goes around us. But when we shut our windows, it has nowhere else to go, so it goes into the property next door, which is the lady who sells the clothes. And so her and her husband have started to get pissed off because it's making their clothes smell bad, and they can't sell their clothing when it smells bad. So it's affecting their livelihood. And so they've started a petition, and they're getting signatures from all the neighbors. I wasn't a part of that. I didn't know this was going on. I found out about it the other day, and I even told Chris, I was like, I'm happy to sign a petition. Like, that lady needs to be shut down. Like, from anyway, a bunch of neighbors signed a petition. The city was, however they do it here. I don't understand all the ins and outs yet, but the petition was signed and it was handed off, and a warning was given to the lady who burns the trash. Well, she basically told everybody. That's what she said to the warning. And what she's been doing now is she's been going out at like 5:30 in the morning and loading up her trash pile with wet clothing and materials that are going to smolder and smoke for like 3 hours. Because now she's literally doing it to fuck with everybody around her because she's pissed off now. And so I haven't been a part of this, but it's like the last few mornings I've gone out and it's been like, I'll be out there helping do chores, and it's like we're trying to do chores, and it's like the wind will shift and suddenly we get hit with this wall of smoke. And like Chris has video footage now because she was out there with the neighbor lady one day. I was working streaming, and her and the neighbor were out there taking video footage along with the husband and of the next door later, and they're all taking video footage of this lady because they've captured her like throwing clothes on and like mountains of plastic and then like putting water on it to make it wet so it'll smolder instead of burn. So she's just being a bitch right now. And nightmare neighbors, pros and cons, ladies and gentlemen. Thankfully, it doesn't affect us 99% of the time because I'm in here in the office, and the smoke doesn't. My air conditioner's on the opposite side of the house, so all the smoke doesn't come in here in my office. But it does come in our kitchen when the windows are open. And it sucks to have to close down the house because we have all the cats inside. When it's 95 degrees outside, it's 100 degrees inside if you have to shut the doors. The good thing is that the smoke usually only happens in the morning. And it's 75, 80 degrees in the morning, so the cats aren't going to suffer like that. But it does suck when she's been burning trash at like noon, and we have to shut the house down at noon because then it's hot. It's like this is starting to make me mad, and I don't have to deal with it. It's not affecting my livelihood like it is the next door neighbors. Food for thought. That was a quick little side note. Fun stuff to talk about. Anyway, homesteading stuff. Follow the other channel because there's more coming. Once a week I'll do videos there. And I promise you, the chicken coop is coming, ladies and gentlemen. Please give me your patience. It has nothing to do with me. I swear to God, I'm not making excuses. It's just things take time here, and we're ready to do the trip. We were ready to go, and then the hawk showed up, and we can't go because of the cats, and we got to coordinate with my niece, and I promise you it's happening. The good thing is that also we now know that four of these chickens are roosters and only two are hens, so I don't need a chicken coop right away. It's a want as opposed to a need because we only have two hens. So Chris is going to keep one rooster and two hens. She gave them their first round of parasites medicine the other day to start flushing them out, and I think she's going to start slaughtering like mid to late August. So she's going to kill off three of the roosters um, to eat. So we're going to have fresh chicken. It's going to be tasty. But I promise all of that is happening at some point. And what I'd really love to do is just coordinate the trip so that when we go up there to get lumber for the chicken coop, I get lumber for the basic cat structure at the same time. A lot of stuff will have to wait. Um, Tools are another thing, but we'll talk about that at another point in time. Oh, I can also say I forgot I should have started the video off with this. We finally got our paperwork back from the house purchase. So this will be another one of please be patient with me, everybody. Here's why. We bought the house in October. We didn't get the paperwork back from the federal government with the title change and everything else until last week. 9 months later. It took 9 fucking months for that paperwork to clear the system and show that everything has been transferred over into our name now. Which means now, after 9 months, we can now take this paperwork. Chris has to go make a bunch of copies now, and she could take that to the city planning office so that we can get an actual street address assigned to our home. It was really funny looking at the actual plans because it's literally we're on Street 3, catty corner with Street 2, and we're in Lotte, whatever it is, the Lotte being like the block. So, here's our house. Here's the lot, here's the block that it's on. And then Street 3, we're facing Street 3. It doesn't even have a name on the I know what the name of the street is out front of our house, but even on the actual plans, the actual blueprints that we have, which are they're updated as of like a couple months ago. Those plans don't even have a street name for that street that runs outside of our house, out front of our house. It literally just says Street 3, and it's just like anyway, we have to take those into the city now, and we can actually get an application in to get a street number assigned. Once we get a street number assigned, then I have to figure out how do I get my house on Google Maps so that I can have an actual GPS waypoint so that I can then order stuff off of Amazon. Because if I go to Amazon right now, I can't, there's no address to put in. It doesn't recognize that there's a place here. And it won't recognize that there's a place here until Google recognizes that there's a place here. And when I went to Google the other day, I was looking at, they were like, we rely upon city governments to give us the information to update when there are buildings put in a new area. And I'm like, that's never going to happen. Like, how do I get, because if you look at where I'm at on the map, there's literally no building structure on the map. That doesn't show that there's a building located where we're at. And I have no idea how to get that on the map. Like, how do I, how did I make this work? So, work in progress. At the very least, we have our paperwork back after 9 months, which means officially, we now have all the documentation that shows the house purchase and then the title being switched over, and it's all official. And Chris went through the paperwork, and it's all done. There was no mistakes. It's done. It's official now. Like all the payments happened. Everything. It's registered and completed, and we have the papers in our hand now that it's in our name, which is really cool. As a first-time homeowner, that's really cool. It's really cool. It's really cool for us to be able to say that and to have the paperwork in our hands. Because now we can move on to the next step, which is getting the address so that I can get things shipped down here and use Amazon again and things of that nature. Because as of right now, if I want to order something off of Amazon, it literally tells me that it's going to have to go to the nearest warehouse, which is a city 2.5 hours away, and then I got to go pick it up at the warehouse, which can't happen because I don't have a car. Struggle bus. Hashtag first world problems. It's kind of a first. It is a first world country. It's a developing country, but hashtag developing world. Hashtag developing country. Whatever. Um, Progress. So when I say please be patient with me about the chicken coop, it's not a me thing. It's just the way things operate here. And I've lived here for 12 years now, and believe me, it's hard to deal with sometimes. Like the just the way things take forever. And most of the time, you just shake your head and go about your business and wait. But sometimes it can be very frustrating because there's sometimes I want to get things done and I can't get things done at my pace. And if you ever ask Chris, what's the number one like frustration point between us as a couple? Because every couple has them. It's me constantly being in a hurry and wanting things to be done. We often have, I don't want to call them arguments because they're not arguments, but they're definitely heated discussions because I'm getting grumpy because something's taking too long, someone is taking too long, something's not happening at the right pace. Like they're not getting the power on quick enough, they're not getting the internet back quick enough, they're not doing something, this, that, or the other quick enough. And Chris will always say, well, this isn't the United States. That's not how things work here. And I'm like, I know, I've been living here for 12 years. I understand that's not how it works, but it's still, when I bitch about things, I make comparisons, and it definitely drives her batty because she's heard those comparisons being made many times over 12 years. And it's because it's the one thing that drives me nuts is like if I pay for something, I want it to work the way it was advertised. I want it to be fast, I want it to be first world, I want it to be modern, I want it to work, I don't want to deal with backwoods bullshit. I can't stand redneck hillbilly it'll get done when it gets done. No, no, there's a schedule, you son of a bitch. Like, there is a schedule. Adhere to the schedule. And unfortunately, things don't work like that, which is one of the things I really loved about living in the city. I love Mexico City because it's a city. You know, Amazon was next day. Like, I didn't have to pay for Prime. We were in the city where all the major shipping centers are, so I never had to pay for Prime because everything is next day delivery. And if I need something, you go right away. But pros and cons because cost of living in the city is ridiculous. And we were just renting, 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 constantly renting, and you're just burning cash if you're renting. And there are pros to renting. Like, if the water heater goes out, I don't have to pay for that. I literally just call somebody up and be like, take care of this. Like, I'm paying you money to take care of this. There's the convenience factor, but the convenience comes at a price. And at a certain point, we were like looking at it going, we're in our early 40s. We don't own anything. We probably need to get this taken care of so that as we get older, we have a place that's ours and that is modernized and up to our standards so that we can actually live in it and be comfortable. And that's why we did what we did and paid for this place and moved out here, was that we could spend the next few years monetizing it. Monetizing, modernizing it. Hey, we're also going to monetize it though with the other channel. That's the whole point of the homesteading project. But getting out here and modernizing and making this a place that's comfortable for us to live in. It's survivable right now. I really want air conditioner units in the rest of the house so that I can open up the door and not be hit with a wave of sweltering heat. But that's not a now need. We can get that done in the future. The immediate need is going to be, we have to get the roof. The roof really needs to be. I don't think it's ever been cleaned in 25 years. And I got up on the roof. I don't have a ladder. I did some I did some shit I probably shouldn't have done as a 42-year-old man, climbing up some sketchy walls and pulling myself up top. Um, but I got up there and it's just covered in probably 3/4 of an inch or more of just like black grime from just years and years and it's a flat roof, so it doesn't drain completely properly. And it's just grime from all these years, and that needs to be completely cleaned. And then we need to waterproof the roof again because we have leaks coming through in various places. So it needs to be waterproofed. And the black that's up there now, that black that just draws sunlight and it makes the house even hotter, like an oven in here. So if we get up there and clean everything off, and I'll probably show that in a video because it's gnarly. That's going to be a gnarly project. I probably need to borrow a pressure washer from somebody or rent one, and I don't want to scrub that. That would be a nightmare. But that needs to happen before I worry about installing air conditioners here. And also, like, we need to figure out the drainage situation in the backyard. Like, Chris is already planning on buying a bunch of cinder block to make like a half wall, a half retain, like a 2 foot high, 3 foot high retaining wall around the back edges of the property to just try to keep the water out. Because I recorded some videos last week and those will be coming up on the other YouTube channel. But it just every time it rains here, our backyard gets flooded, and the only place the water has to go is down the edge of our house. And if that ever gets blocked off, we're screwed. Like, because the water, the when we first had it, we had it blocked off because we didn't want the kittens getting there, and we didn't know it was gonna do that. And then the first time it rained, Chris was like, "Tim," I was in the middle of a live stream with P99 with Nathan and everybody, with Nathan Sparrow and Bounty and everybody, and I hear Chris is yelling for me. I come outside, and the water was less than a half an inch from coming over the edge of the curbs and flooding our entire house. And like it would have just ran out the front door. And we really quickly had to jump out there and like clear the passageway and pull all the things we had put up to block the kittens from getting in there. And then I was like, well, shit, that's the only place the water goes. And that's when we realized that the drainage that should have been put into this place was never done. Homeowner nightmares, right? Thankfully, the problems here are fairly small in terms of the drainage thing's not that big of a deal because really what we need to do is just put a retaining wall in the backyard because the rain will happen no matter what and we'll get some rain. But the problem is we live on the downside of a slope, so the entire forest behind us, that entire abandoned property, we get all of the offshed from that because it comes down the hill to us. So if we put a retaining wall in the backyard on that back property, it'll hit that retaining wall and it'll go somewhere else. And Chris is looking at it going, it'll probably go to the pig lady, which everybody, it literally, like, I don't think anybody cares if it goes to the pig lady because it's like the pig lady's been pissing everybody off with her smoke and her pigs. So I think the idea is that who cares if we piss off the pig lady? Because it's also not an us problem. Like if we put up a retaining wall in our backyard and the water starts draining into her property instead of ours, that's a well, I guess you're gonna need to build a retaining wall, and then somebody's got to figure something out because there'll have to be a drainage hole put somewhere. But like the church has a retaining wall, and that's one of the issues is the church didn't put a drain in their retaining wall, which they should have. And as a result, all the water that should be going into the church's property is coming into our property. And Chris wants to stop that from happening, so she wants to put a wall up in the backyard so that all the water is going to someone else's property. More on that at the other channel, ladies and gentlemen. Um, growth. Let's talk growth. Did you watch the analytics video I put out the other day? It's pretty cool stuff, ladies and gentlemen. I'm also pleased to say that as good as July was, August, and again, August could go down. We could see a dip, but as of this recording, which I'm pre-recording this at 4:30 on August 7th, as of today, we're already over $300 net on YouTube for the week, which means we did over $300 this week, excuse me, in super chats, super thanks, memberships. It's all up. We got 2 new Dungeon Master subscribers on the Patreon page the other day. Those are $15 a month tiers. Like just everything is going up. It's fucking amazing. No lie. Like just amazing. So thanks to all of you for being so excited about what we're doing here on this channel, what we're building with my brother and my wife, with Nathan and Bounty and Sparrow and everybody else with the multi streams and all the things we're doing meant, ladies and gentlemen. And again, we could slump after this. I could see nothing for the next week, but as of today, we've already netted $300 on YouTube, which means we're having a faster month than July was, which means that if August ends up being more than July, then we're going to be able to keep that trend going, which shows that all of you love the content that's being produced, which is amazing. So thank you very much for that. Um, More of the same all throughout the month of August. A little bit of new because I'm going to be doing all the homesteading stuff on the other channel. Other than that, everything's going to be staying the same here. We've got more. I mean, we're heavy into Warcraft right now. We're still doing the EverQuest 1 grind. Um, Hang on, I got a Discord message. Let me check here what's going on there. Oh, Sparrow. Sparrow's looking like they're gonna have a thunderstorm tonight too. I was just telling him like we're hoping, fingers crossed, we're gonna have electricity tonight for D&D because we've missed the last 3 weeks. But we're about to have a thunderstorm tonight, and we've lost power the last 3 nights when we had a thunderstorm. And then Sparrow's looking like a bad storm running through the area as well. So it's like, oh no, it might be another week where there's no D&D. Out of our control if it's nature. Anyway, coming back to the growth in the channel, mind blown. Did I talk about this at the beginning of the stream? I can't remember. I had bleed over because I did that other 45-minute episode that I ended up not wanting to use. Um, if I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry. It's late. It's been a long day. This is the third like not the third version of this, but I've recorded. Not only did I stream today and then I took a nap, but then I came back and I recorded Monday Musings. Excuse me, I did Mondays of Middle Earth. I did Rings of Power, and now I'm doing Monday Musings. And I don't have a script, so my brain gets a little confused. Um, Go watch the analytics video if you haven't already. More stuff coming in the pipeline. We're doing lots of cool stuff. Everything's just really, really good. I'm really, really stoked. And if the growth keeps going, the thing I'm most excited about, I've said this before, I'll say it again. The thing I'm most excited about is being able to build a sustainable business through that project behind me, and gainfully employ all of my friends. I look at everything that Viva La Dirt League is doing, going from like 2 guys to 3 guys to 5 guys to now, they did the Kickstarter and they have a studio space and they're doing like 7 different shows and they've got all their friends working with them, not only as actors but as writers, editors, the film crew. That's what we're trying hard to do with the multi-stream team, with myself, Nathan, Kel, Sparrow, and everybody who's around us coming up in that. What we're doing here, bringing Nathan and Becca and everybody on to doing artwork on the Weave of the Void, and just growing all of these things. I'm at the point. I'm pretty sure I didn't say it in this take. It was the last take. I'm getting to the point where with my personal channel, if the growth stays steady and we see the same growth, I'm at the point where I'd really love to be able to to bring on a social media person to work with me by the end of the year. And if the growth continues the same, we can. Because I look at big channels and I see the income that they're bringing in and I don't need to worry about getting rich. It's for me it's more about, you know, I want to be able to employ people and do the things because everything I have is paid for, so I don't need more. I want more, always want more. Everybody always wants more. There's no such thing as not wanting more. But wanting more and needing more are two different things. And the need for me is just I want more to be able to hire more people so that I could do cooler things and do more of it. And the more of my friends that I can help make money, the happier I'm going to be as an individual because I want to see my friends succeed at the same level as me and I want to see all of us go up together. And I want to be able to build a thriving industry for all of us. So, thanks to all of you who have been helping to make the short-term growth look very, very good. And if that trajectory keeps holding on for the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months and beyond, then we are absolutely looking at exactly what we want it to be. And that's pretty amazing to think about in the grand scope of what we're building. And also as being in my early 40s and starting to look at what am I going to do with the next 20 years of my life? Because realistically, I might only get another 20 years. I might get more, but most people, live 60, 70, so if I've got 20 to 30 more years left, I would like to be able to build something that is something that we can all grow, that we can all, as as middle-aged adults, can all grow into and use as the thing that we're doing throughout the rest of our adulthood into our twilight years, and then hand it off to the next generation and sort of mentor them into creating whatever is the next generation of video games and tabletop and art and everything else. I don't know. I have a dream. Thanks everybody for your help, your support. See you next week.